Hello fellow book nerds, today we're talking about the most surprising books of 2021. So hello everyone, this is Gabby and today is the first video in my end of year series. I have several videos coming up, so this is the most surprising. We have the most disappointing books coming and the best books of 2021, and to wrap it up, we're gonna have some stats and reading goals. So like I said, this is the first video, so if you want to check out any of the other ones, want to follow along, know what my faves are, subscribe. 2021's been an amazing year, and the way it was incredibly hard to put my best 2021 books list, it was basically impossible. So many good books, and not all of them could be on it because otherwise we'll be here for forever. Today's video is not actually about that. Today's video is about the most surprising books of 2021, and here's what that means to me basically. So for me, the most surprising books are the ones that I either had low expectations, no expectations, I guess that's it. If I had low expectations or no expectations and they ended up being really, really good. This either could mean that like they were so good, but they were like more surprising than the best books, or they weren't like masterpieces, but I enjoyed them so much more than I expected. So in number 10, we have We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan. So this book is a historical fiction. It's kind of humorous, and I read it for a Reading Witchy Books video because this book we follow a field hockey team in Canada, and they sell their souls to the devil in order to win field hockey tournaments. But it's a very unique book. It's told in plural tense, so it's just plural, it's in we, so everything that happens is we did this, we did that, so it's to show how the hive mind of the field hockey team, and I had a lot of fun with it. I read it because Books and Lala recommended it, and I didn't think I would like super love it, but ended up being really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I think the plural tense or plural way of speaking was really cool. It wasn't like a super high action story. It was more about discovering these field hockey players and what they're all about. A lot of diversity in terms of sexual orientation, gender, ethnicity, and everyone's experience was really, really cool. And it's set in the 80s, I believe, so it just gave it a whole new cool dimension. So I really, really enjoyed that, and I would say I was very surprised because I didn't think it'd be bad, but I enjoyed it way more than I expected. In number 9, we have Horrid by Katrina, Leno. So this book is a short horror novel, and in it we follow a girl who moves to her mother's hometown after her father's death, and it's all very creepy, very spooky, and there might be ghosts. And the fun, weird thing about it is that she eats books. It was really, really fun. I didn't expect it to be so good. I was really into it. I listened to the audiobook. The narrator was really good. It was really creepy and spooky. The ending was disturbing, and like I had such a good time, and I keep thinking about it. It's one of these books that weird things happen and you don't really get that much explanation. Like it's not about that. It's more about the themes, and that can be a hit or miss with me. Usually I can understand what it was trying to do, but don't necessarily love it. But in this instance, I had a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it, and I felt that it's a really great horror wreck. So I was really surprised how much I think about it still. That's like another thing, like I just keep thinking about it, and like, yeah, it was really good. In place number 8, we have Remote Control by Nnedi, Okorafor. So in this book, it's another short book, and it's a sci-fi, and we follow the adopted daughter of Death as she goes about her business. It's very short, so I don't want to spoil too much. It's the author of Binti, another really good sci-fi book, and I really, really like Binti. I didn't like, the sequel was alright, but like Binti 1 was really, really good. But sci-fi is not my genre, and this is like a very short book, so I didn't know what kind of impact it would have on me, what I would think about it. And I really, really, really loved it. It was such a great book. It was really like about belonging and loss and grieving, and it was really, really powerful, I would say. And I think if you're even more of a genre sci-fi person than me, you probably enjoy it even more than I did. So Considering it's a genre I don't pick up often, although I'm discovering that maybe I like it more than I thought, I would really, really recommend this book. It's really good and it tugged at my heartstrings. Heartstrings, not hamstrings. What? In number 7, we have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. So this book is a high fantasy. It's a retelling of a Brothers Grimm story. And in it we have Vanya, who is a thief and impersonating a princess. And one day she messes with the wrong god. And they say that if she doesn't repent for her sins, she will be turned into gems in like a month or something. I really enjoyed this book. Again, I didn't have too high expectations. I thought it would be alright. I read it for my Reading New Releases series and reviewed it. I loved how humorous it was. I really liked its unique writing style. I really liked how it was really fun and new and fresh, while at the same time having really good romance, really important themes. And overall, I just really enjoyed it and I would really recommend it, and I keep recommending it and stuff. So it was a bit surprising to me because I thought it'd be alright, you know, but it was so much more unique and fun than I expected. So I would really, really recommend Little Thieves. Such a fun book. There's a sequel coming. I don't know how I feel about that, but the first book was good. Number 6 is Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. So in this book is another sci-fi, but I think this one's adult, and we follow a group of scientists or a group of people who find this massive metal hand somewhere in the desert, and then they try to reconstruct the robot that the hand is a part of. I didn't know if I'd like it. Like I said, sci-fi, not my genre. But I kept hearing really good things about it, and I picked up the audiobook, and the audiobook was really well done. It had multiple actors doing multiple characters, so it was really fun to have all of the voices, and it felt like the story was meant to be told that way because it's all told in form of interviews and transcripts and that kind of thing. So it's kind of got that multimedia element, but I think because it was mostly like transcripts and interviews, I think the audiobook really worked for it, and I had so much fun with it. I think it just tackled such important themes, and the characters were so rich, and the ending was like, what the hell? And that just made a really an amazing, unique experience reading this book, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it is at, but like sci-fi this year is delivered. I really loved the Sleeping Giants, and I really want to continue with the series because it's a finished series as well. So if that's up your alley, I would really recommend. But I love books with themes, and this one definitely had them, so it was really good. Number 5 is The Countess Conspiracy by Courtney Milan. So this book is a historical romance. I'm a bit embarrassed how high up this list it is, but it was surprising. So in this book we follow like a woman in 1800s, I think, and she is a scientist, a geneticist, but because if people knew that it was her work, she would be ridiculed and shunned and no one would publish it. She asked her best friend to pretend that the findings are his and he's the scientist, and there's a romance. I read this purely because Hannon said it was good, and I was like, I'm craving a romance a little bit. Why not trust Hannon? She knows what's up. And I love this book. It was so good. It was such a good historical fantasy. Historical fantasy is not historical romance. Historical romance is not something that I read often, but bloody hell, it was so good. I had so much fun. It was really intense. It had very steamy scenes, very steamy. But at the same time, it had beautiful friendship, beautiful partnership, beautiful understanding, mutual respect, very rich characters, and it was about female empowerment, which I love. So overall, I loved this book. I'd recommend it to anyone at any time. Okay, not to anyone. If you love historical romance, if you love romance, steamy romance, then you probably will love it. But I would really recommend this, and like I was shocked how much I liked it. I thought it'd be good, alright. I had fun with it, but no, it was like really good, and I cannot stop thinking about it. It's part of a companion series, so I might pick up those books because the author is very talented. Number 4 is A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. So this book is a urban fantasy set in Toronto. We follow two girls who go on a mission to find out who's killing all the half-fae in the Toronto area. It's a sapphic romance and I loved it. I didn't think it would bring up so much nostalgia. It really reminded me of like urban fantasy when I was like 15 years old, you know, like Mortal Instruments series and that kind of vibe. But yeah, overall it was such a well-written, fun urban fantasy that it brought back all those times I enjoyed other urban fantasies. So it was really good. I would really recommend if you're a fan of urban fantasy. I've been feeling a bit nostalgic for it, like me, because it was very good and I cannot wait for the sequel. It's a whole series, really cool. And I think it's really cool that it has both a sapphic and a gay romance and it's set in Toronto. It's just like nostalgic with like a sprinkle of something new. So yeah, it was really good. Number 3 is Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. So this book is a YA thriller and we follow a young girl, like a teenager, who's trying to discover what happened with this murder that happened several years ago in her small hometown for her like a school project because she doesn't believe the person accused was the one doing it. I was shocked how much I enjoyed it because it's a YA thriller. Not to shit on YA thrillers, but I have read Truly Devious and actually really liked the first book. But then it was a series and it was like dragging. It was really bad. And this one's a series as well. So I was scared because I was like, oh no, what if they do the same thing? Drag one mystery over 3 books when there's not enough and you lose interest and you lose like sight of suspects. But thankfully this book did something way smarter than that. So it's a series, but it's I think self-contained and each mystery is a separate mystery. So that makes it way more fresh, way more enjoyable to read because you're still invested in the mystery that's happening. It was so good. I really loved the protagonist. Again, something I really don't like in YA thriller protagonists. I feel like they can be very rude, very invasive, just no regard for anyone's feelings, thoughts whatsoever. Just whatever suits them is the most important thing. And I found that really, really awful, really. I found it awful and really not fun to read from the perspective of. So that's why I wasn't the biggest fan. But that being said, I do think that this book didn't do that because Pip was very respectful, self-aware as well, and acted like a real human being, which is not something I can say about the Truly Devious protagonist. It just feels like they're a YA thriller protagonist where I think her name's Pip, is like a real person that you feel like, oh, okay, it makes sense. She's real. She's got some insecurity. She's got some social norms attached to her. She isn't just existing in this bubble of I do what I want because I'm a teenage detective. So I really, really like this book. I have a sequel and the 3rd book, so I'm reading it as soon as I can. It's back in England, so I need to wait till I can read that. Had such a fun time with the first one that I wanted to point it out if you're interested in that kind of book. Number 2, we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So this book is another urban and low fantasy. We are following a girl who's doing some extra classes before entering college, and in there she meets a group of people who think they're the reincarnation of Arthur and his round table. I didn't think I would dislike this book. I felt it would be good because everyone seemed to really enjoy it, but I thought it'd be way more predictable and basic than it was. It was just such an interesting, intricate look into people and into history and magic and belonging and identity, and I really enjoyed it. I think it did a lot of interesting stuff and the writing style was really good. The characters were so good. So despite falling maybe into some cliches, it was just still so fresh, so fun, and it was like the author did something that maybe would have been considered a cliche or done before, but it just put a spin on it so that it was interesting and fresh and really fun and a new perspective. So I really, really, really enjoyed that book, and I think it's just so good and it deserves all the praise it got. And there's a sequel coming called Bloodmarked, I think. I'm so excited, and I just feel like it needs a bit more clout because yes, it was loved, but it needs like 5 times as much. And number 1 most surprising books of 2021 is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. So The Death of Jane Lawrence is I guess a high fantasy but kind of historical fantasy as well. So it's set in this like alternate 1800s, kind of like London, whatever. But we follow this woman who really wants to get married because she wants to retain her independence, but she wants to get married and but she wants to get married and retain the independence, so she needs a husband who will let her do her own thing. She's an accountant and she just likes her freedom. So she finds this guy who's a doctor, and she proposes that they marry, but kind of have a marriage of convenience. And he says, okay, but you can't come to my ancestral home at night. And she's like, yeah, that's fine, I'll just sleep in the hospital that's connected to a house. Well, of course, she breaks it on the first night and finds the husband, who's normally like really charismatic, really impressive doctor, to be this sniveling, scared, shrivel of a man, and she has to figure out what's up. I had no... Hearing the synopsis, I wasn't like that into it. But at the same time, having heard the synopsis and saw the cover, I was obsessed. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know why. It's not like the thing is super appealing by itself, but just like the combo and the vibes, and I just had this feeling like I would love this book, and I was like obsessed with reading it, but at the same time had no knowledge of other people reading it, no reviews, no positive thoughts about it that could put me in such a mindset. And then I read it, and the first half, I would say I was obsessed. Yes, I read it in one sitting, and so I just want to say, like, it sounds like I thought it would be good, and I did, but I just didn't expect it would be that good. Like, for me to just sit down, read a book, even though I have so many other things to do, is not that common, because I feel like really anxious and like I need to do all the other stuff before I do this. But this book, just everything else fell away. I loved it so much, and it's just this atmosphere setting, the characters, the themes, it just spoke to me. And the reason why it's not the best books of 2021 would be the second/third act. The third act, I would say. It was really dragging for me. I understand what I was trying to do, I do, and I have a video about how this is a perfect gothic, and I still stand by that, and the last third probably also fits into that gothic standard, but I just found it really meandering, and I felt like we were in the same place and we kept saying the same things, and it was getting progressively more disgusting. And not that that's a bad thing, it is a horror, so like I can forgive that. Like the freaking momentum I had, I had to stop reading, and that kind of killed the momentum. And then from there, I still really enjoyed it. I still would say it's one of the better books I read in 2021, but I thought I'd put it in this list instead of best books, because I have some best books that, you know, they're my ride or die, so I couldn't bump one of them up. I already have three honorable mentions for my 10 best books of 2021, so... But yeah, those are all of the books that surprised me in 2021, or maybe not all of them, but top 10 books that surprised me in 2021. Just a reminder that I am also doing most disappointing books, the best books of 21, as well as stats and goals. So follow me along, click the notification button, click the subscribe button, whatever you want to do. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. Let me know what were the most surprising books you read in 2021. I always love knowing, so yeah, maybe your book will, your pick will show up in one of my videos. Who knows? Because I do have some planned where people decide. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!